Hi guys, before we get started, I just wanted to mention to everyone that there is a store now on the channel. So if you look under the video, you'll see a little icon, store. Check that out. Got hats, t-shirts, hoodies, really cool stuff. Let people know you're passionate about tennis and you're part of the Tom Avery Tennis family. So I'm here to help you, so check that out. Today's lesson is on the forehand. We're going to talk about the two biggest mistakes worldwide on the forehand. The number one mistake worldwide is hitting the ball in the net. There's a simple fix to that, and I'm going to show you what it is. The other mistake we're going to talk about today is hitting the ball long. If you can solve, or if you have the knowledge that you need to prevent that from happening, you have power. Okay? If you have the knowledge, you can fix it. When you make that mistake in a match, you can make a mental note. Okay, I realize what I didn't do right, what I needed to do, and you can fix your mistakes. So when you make mistakes, don't get mad. Use mistakes as feedback to help you play better. Okay, why does the ball go into the net? I've asked this question to many students, and their typical response is, I didn't follow through. I didn't follow through high enough. Somehow they think that a high follow-through is going to help them get the ball over the net. And that is usually not the case, okay? A good follow-through is important. It's the consequence of a nice, fast swing. So you want a good follow-through, but that's usually not the reason why the ball goes in the net. What is it? It's this. When you're on that baseline area, okay, on the baseline or deeper than the baseline, you have to hit up on the ball to clear the net. The net doesn't seem that high, but if you were to swing too horizontal, you see, if you swing too horizontal, too straight across, and not low to high, you don't get any lift on the ball. Okay, so if I'm here on the baseline, and my racket's up at shoulder height, the ball is at shoulder height, when I swing straight across, the ball doesn't have a prayer. It cannot clear the net. I would have to hit the ball 200 miles per hour to clear the net, and nobody on the planet can do that. So you have to swing low to high. So the reason you're hitting the ball in the net is because you're not getting the racket low enough. You have to swing low to high. And what happens, let's say this is the contact point right here. Okay. Now, I'm hitting the ball in that direction. I turn, I get my racket back. Now from here, I have to drop it down below the ball so that I'm swinging up as I hit the ball. Now, many players have a problem with that because when they swing up, the ball goes over the fence or it hits the back fence. But that's because the racket is not vertical at contact. At contact, the racket has to be like this, not like this. If it's open, yes, it's going to go long. It's going to hit the back fence or go over the fence. But if you hit the ball swinging low to high and the racket is vertical when you hit, the ball will simply leave your strings ascending because you're starting lower than the ball. As you come up, even though you're vertical, the racket's moving low to high, so the ball ascends off your strings, giving you the net clearance. But it also brushes the ball, which gives you some topspin that can bring the ball back down. So The reason why, remember this, and you'll have the knowledge to fix your mistake. You're not getting the racket low enough. How low do you have to get it? I've been saying this for 45 years. At least a good foot below the contact point. So, if this is my contact point, when I bring the racket back, I've got to come down a foot lower than that point, wherever that contact point is, because you're going to have a lot of different contact points. You may have one here, 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 then the next one's there, and then some are lower. But wherever it is, you have to drop it down at least a foot lower than the contact point. And that happens, if I was in my ready position here and I turn, that foot below happens when the tip of the racket is facing the back fence. Okay, so right there is where you need that foot below, right here. So then you're swinging up, the ball leaves your strings ascending. Now, that problem before, where I was talking about, you know, when some players swing up, they hit it long. But that's because the racket's open. You need a vertical racket. How do you get a vertical racket? Make sure that when you're at the low point of your backswing, that foot below, the palm of your hitting hand, the palm of your hand is facing down. That will also make the racket face slightly down. So when you're a foot below that ball, that racket should be like this, closed. If it's vertical and you're a foot below, that's going to give you an open face when you hit. When you're closed like that, that gives you a vertical face when you make contact, because this point is 1 foot higher. The contact point's 1 foot higher than that low point. So you've got to remember that. You'll never hit a ball in the net for the rest of your life. How does that sound? Sounds a little unrealistic, right? Yeah, because even Federer still hits him in the net once in a while. But he knows why he did it. He didn't bend his knees. He didn't get that racket down. That's what you have to know. And don't, you know, it's not the follow-through. It's what you're doing way before the follow-through. It's what you're doing back here. If you're not getting the racket low enough, there's a good chance you're going to hit the ball in the net. A very good chance. Okay, why does it go long? As I mentioned, that's because the racket's open. How do you prevent that? I just told you, keep that racket face closed. There's a couple of drills that you can do that I'm going to show you right now that are going to help you be vertical every time you hit the ball. And this is what counts. It doesn't matter if Roger Federer is holding the racket or Joe Smith or Kathy Smith. As long as the racket is vertical at contact, moving from low to high, chances are your shot is in the court. Okay, so let me show you those two things you can practice. Okay, the first thing you can practice, stand next to a fence. And you're going to make the fence your contact point. Okay, now you can make it a lower contact point or a higher contact point. It doesn't matter. Let's just do a waist-high contact point. Now, from here, I'm going to go in reverse. This is where I would hit the ball, right there. Now, if I go in reverse, remember, I have to be a foot lower than this point with the racket face closed. Okay, so I bring it back a foot lower, the racket's closed, the palm of my hitting hand is down, and then simply swing up and check your racket. Is it vertical? It should be vertical here every time. Now, just if you do this over and over, you're going to start to burn that signal in the brain, and that's what you want. So That's the first way. Stand next to the fence, palm down, racket face closed, come up, check your racket. Does it hit the fence totally flush? As it's coming up, it should hit it flush. Okay, now, if it hits like this, you don't want, maybe you're not closed, maybe the palm is not down. If it hits like this, you could be rolling your forearm or your wrist. That happens after the ball is gone. Okay, another way, and I really like this because it gives you the feeling of topspin. Stand next to the net and use the white part of the net as your contact point. Okay, remember, you're going to start a foot lower, then this point here, foot lower, palm is down, racket face is closed. Come up. Make sure that racket is vertical when you hit, and then just brush through it and finish. That's going to give you the feeling, and make sure that your racket is vertical. Okay, let's take a look in slow motion. What we're going to look for is the point when the racket is a foot below the contact point, which is right there. Notice the tip of the racket is facing the back fence. I'm a foot below the ball right now. The palm of my hitting hand is down. The racket face is closed. That guarantees a vertical racket right there. And the swing was totally from the shoulder. I did not have to make any adjustments with my wrist or forearm. The racket automatically became vertical at contact. Okay, let's take a look from the side. We're going to look for that racket when it gets a foot below the contact point right there. The tip of the racket facing the back fence. Racket face is closed. Palm of the hitting hand is down. Simply swinging up guarantees vertical at contact. Now I can get some brushing on the ball as well, and the ball leaves my strings ascending. And the finish, racket over the shoulder. Well, I hope you enjoyed that video. Remember, knowledge equals power to fix mistakes. Remember those tips and use them. Even when you're in a match, make a mental note, and you'll start to see improvement in your game. All the best. Please subscribe to the channel. Give me a like, give me a thumbs up, hit that notification bell so you are notified anytime I put up a future video. All the best, guys, to your tennis success. Take care.